Good morning, guys. As you can see, we are not at the beach this morning. We are in the garage. The tides are just not in my favor for the next couple of days, and I wanted to do a review video of the TDI Beach Hunter by White's anyway. So I'm just going to do that today. As you know or may not know, I've had some issues with condensation on the inside of the control housings. So I'll have some pictures on here, let you take a look and see what those issues looked like. But I am putting it to rest. I have been assured by White's that condensation inside the case here, mine happen to be in all four corners, but I've been told that that is not only perfectly normal, but due to physics, unavoidable. They gave me plenty of tea glass, lemonade glass, car windshield references to go by as far as how condensation is created and how it builds. Probably a lot more than I ever wanted, but ultimately, in the end, this thing has a warranty, and if the condensation becomes an issue, I think it will be sooner rather than later that it does become an issue, and it should be well within the warranty period, so I'm not going to worry about it. They've assured me that the electronics on the inside of the box are coated, so they are waterproof and corrosion resistant, and I'm good with it. It is what it is. It's very strange to me that condensation on the inside of an electrical component would be considered okay, but again, I've been assured that it is normal and unavoidable. Here is a picture or two of the machine dry and ready to go. You can see that the plastic is, for the most part, clear. I mean, it has a texture to it, but you can clearly see through it to the components on the inside of the case. And I had assumed it was clear, so you could verify that there was no moisture in there. And they say that's what it's for, but only in the case of water rolling around on the inside. The condensation is not an issue. If there's water rolling around, then yeah, there's a problem. Here's a couple of photos of the moisture I was experiencing. Now, in these photos, you'll notice the tiny little water droplets starting to form, and this machine was barely submerged. I mean, I throw it into the water for a second, maybe two at the most, just to get sand off of the handle here. It drives me nuts trying to use it with a sandy handle. But I rinse it off real quick and keep on hunting. Now, I don't know if the condensation took 10 seconds to build or 10 minutes to build. All I know is what you see in these photos or what I saw when I looked at the machine. The first time it ever happened, it was not a lot of condensation, but enough to make me nervous. You can see here, I actually drew on the case with a Sharpie before I sent it back, showing them where the major condensation was building. And when I got it back, it had progressed from just this corner here to all four corners. It was quite a bit heavier than it was the first time, but again, I'm not going to worry about it. They say it's totally normal, so I don't really have a choice but to be good with it. Other than that, my experience with beach machines include my first, which was a Fisher CZ20. After that, I went with a Garrett Infinium LS. Following the Garrett Infinium was a Garrett Sea Hunter Mark II. then the Fisher CZ21, and finally the TDI Beach Hunter. All those machines are dandy. I mean, they're deep-seeking, diving machines. This one I wouldn't consider a diving machine. I think its limit is 13 feet, give or take. The Garretts and the Fishers were 200 plus foot diving machines, both VLF and PI. This is, of course, a PI machine, pulse induction. As far as an actual review goes with it, I think I've got enough hours behind the machine to give my opinion on its use compared to all the other machines anyway. I actually love this machine. It is super easy to set up and use, which is saying a lot compared to some of the other machines. The Infinium in particular was kind of a headache to set up and use. Once you got the hang of it, it wasn't too bad, but touchy with the ground balancing and needing to re-ground balance. There's so much black sand at Sunset Beach that even it had an issue. The Garrett Sea Hunter Mark II at Sunset Beach had issues with the black sand. The VLFs, the Fisher CZ20 and 21, had issues at Sunset Beach with the black sand. And of course, every single frequency detector VLF that I've owned had issues at the beach, Sunset Beach in particular. Now you can get away with using them up in the dry sand for the most part. Definitely at Huntington Beach, not in all areas of Sunset Beach. It's just thick black sand up on the towel line as well as down by the water. So as far as the machines go, this hands down has been the best for Sunset Beach. I'm not even going to really discuss about using the ground balance here. I use it straight PI. I have turned the ground balance on to do the discrimination and wandered around the dry sand a little bit with it, but it's not my favorite way to hunt. Mainly because if you're discriminating, you're not digging everything. And when you don't dig everything, you miss some things. It just is what it is. Anybody that's metal detected long enough can tell you that some super thin gold rings will ring up like garbage aluminum. They can be all over the board. So I like to dig everything. I don't want to miss anything. But also I dig everything because I frequently come up with things the likes of these. Here's a collection of my fishing lures that I've pulled from the beach. Each and every one of these things will cause you to get a tetanus shot. So I don't mind digging around, pulling that stuff, saving people's feet. And then of course all the other stuff, the broken bottles with the cap still on them, or razor blades, syringes, all that crap. But I dig it all. I try not to discriminate anything out. That way I don't miss anything. Now as far as the setup goes on this compared to other machines, I can't complain too much about the Fishers. I mean, being VLF and having issues in the black sand more so than a PI machine, they're, for all intents and purposes, they're a turn on and go machine. They do need to be ground balanced, but they're pretty easy to do. They just have to be checked, especially at a place like Sunset Beach, where you'll be re-ground balancing frequently enough that it might become a bit of a headache. This one, I leave my ground balance off. The gain, when I turn the machine on, is going all the way up to the 10. I've tried running it less, I've tried running it more. At least with the interference from the black sand, it doesn't seem to matter if the gain is on 5 or 10. It's your pulse delay that's going to help you with the really bad black sand. At Huntington Beach, I can run this thing down at 10 on the pulse delay. When I'm up at Sunset Beach, I've got to have this thing at least 15, sometimes closer to 20, depending on the area of the beach. Some of them are worse than others. Certain spots on that beach are like a layered cake. You dip your sand scoop into the sand and pull it out, and you'll see an inch or two of black sand, an inch or two of white sand, and just repeated layer after layer. And this thing has no issue with any of it. I crank up the pulse delay a little bit, and for the most part, the black sand is ignored. Going in and out of the water, if you happen to do like I do and work the shoreline more so than going way out into the water or sticking up to the dry stuff, that's where you're going to keep it as close to quiet as possible. I don't know that it's entirely possible to get the thing to be completely quiet when you're going in the water, out of the water, in the water, out of the water. It has a sort of a wah-wah sound as you do that, but it is easily discernible from a target. And any target within that wah-wah sound as you go in and out of the water will still let you know it's there. It'll be a wah-beep wah kind of thing. And that'll definitely let you know if you need to dig or not. So, yeah, is ease of use in a terrible black sand environment, hands down, the best. It's super easy to set up. Just pop it on, set your pulse delay. Never had a reason to run the frequency any higher or lower than dead center. Threshold. Sometimes I run it so it's audible. Sometimes I run it so it's just inaudible. Not sure if I've found a benefit to doing it one way or the other yet. I'll work on that a little bit more. But super easy to set up, super easy to use. Another important thing is depth. Now, I'm not yet convinced if the TDI Beach Hunter is as deep as the Infinium LS by Garrett was. It is a very deep machine. I've pulled a 18 plus inch silver ring that was a faint signal but repeatable from all directions, so I know I could have gone a bit deeper with it. That's probably my deepest and best find with this machine so far. The Infinium, yikes. That thing I had down to, was it Seal Beach a few years ago and picked up a signal that I started to dig. And I was better than 2 feet deep when I pulled up the remnants of a aluminum can bottom. And that was pretty frequent with that machine. I mean, it was just deep, deep, deep. And it would find the teeny tiny things, little earring backs, 8, 10, 12 inches deep. It was insane. But not the easiest of machines to conquer and learn how to use correctly. So this is close, depth-wise. I'm not convinced it's as deep. It may be deeper. I don't know. I haven't found anything deeper that I really want to dig. Some signals I've avoided. You can tell they're just really big signals. Just the sound the machine makes. A coin, a ring, something small is just a nice beep, beep when you go over it. It's quick. A big piece of aluminum, like a bottom of an aluminum can, is a more drawn out, rounded signal. It's not a pop. And I'm learning those a little bit more as I go along and avoiding digging some. I still dig a few just to make sure that that's what it is, but the other thing I like about it is the double beep factor. Now, I know a lot of folks will pass up on items like that. I'll check them in both directions. Anything that's got a double beep in both directions, or at a 90 degree from my original approach angle, I'm digging. It's going to be a small piece of something or a chain. The bobby pins, the pieces of wire, tent stakes, those will give you a solid beep one direction and a double beep the other. So you know if that's what happens, you're over a piece of wire of some sort. Chains with little bitty links and things like that will still give you a double beep, but it's because it's seeing the individual links and attributing it to more of a multiple target scenario, I guess you'd say. So you get a double beep, but you'll get it both directions. So that'll help you out there. The weight of the machine I haven't found to be cumbersome at all. The CZ20 and 21 is far less friendly, I guess, in that they're just heavy. And the coils on the fishers are heavy, the boxes are heavy. If you hip mount it, you're good to go. But on the rod, I don't think that they're as ergonomically designed as the whites are. This is just really well balanced, and while it's not the lightest machine, you hardly notice. There are times when I'll get working close to, on a high tide, it's got you close up by the towel lines, you're still on the water, and you've got a steep angle, and you're swinging the thing up in the air to cover more ground, and that'll get a little tiring, but otherwise, it's great. I have no issues with weight at all. Very well balanced. The coil itself, if you look at it, you can see where they returned it, having been painted up with something. I had assumed it leaked, but apparently not. I guess there's an issue with joints or something on the manufacturing, that there's a tricky spot on these things that apparently doesn't allow the glue to absorb the way it ought to seal it properly. So while they had it, they painted it up. And that's fine. I think it's probably a little bit heavier than it was, but not an issue. The biggest thing I like about these coils is the profile here. I mean, that's a pretty low profile. So they slide through the water, or slice through the water, pretty easily. And this being as big a coil as it is, 12 and a half inches, it moves through the water surprisingly easy. I think it moves through the water at least as easy as an 8-inch Fisher coil, possibly easier. Oh, what are some of the other good things about it? Well, I really can't say enough good things about it. It's a great machine. It's as deep as I need it to be. I'm not a big fan of digging 2-foot deep holes to chase pennies and things like that, but it'll get down there. 18 inches on a ring is dandy by me, and I could have gone deeper. The other machines, Fisher CZ20, CZ21, I've pulled 20-inch plus items with those machines. But again, when I use the VLF, I tend to discriminate. And while digging zinc pennies is maybe not that much fun, and paper clips and things like that, when I discriminate, I'm not digging everything. And when I'm not digging everything, I'm missing some stuff. It just is what it is. As far as the headphones go, definitely, I think they're dandy. They feel really sturdy. I haven't had any issues at all with these. I think they're pretty well made. They're definitely better than the ones that come on the Fisher, as far as I can tell. Definitely heavier construction. The Garretts were not too bad. I think the whites have the Garretts beat as well. Now, as far as the bad things go with the machine. Well, obviously the condensation on the inside of the box. That one's kind of a hard pill for me to swallow, but again, they assured me it's normal and unavoidable. So we'll leave that alone. There's really not a whole lot I don't like about the machine. Every once in a while, the armrest here needs to get retightened. It'll sort of click as you go back and forth with it when it gets a little bit loose. But I've had no issues with any of these cam locks coming loose. Everything is pretty sturdy. Have no issues with that. The volume for some may be a little rough. It's super loud, even when it's cranked way down. If you've got a target that's 8 inches or shallower, even if the volume's down here a ways, it about blow your ears off. It's really loud. The problem is, if you've got it run way down here to keep the shallow targets from blowing your head off, you're not helping your threshold here. If you've got this really, really minimal and the volume way down, you're going to miss some of the finer hits that this thing makes, which means you got to crank this back up to catch those super faint signals, which means you're going to get your head blown off on the shallow targets. It just is what it is. I'm not a huge fan of that. This plug here, I'll probably end up getting rid of because water gets in and it likes to stay in there. Every once in a while I have to pick the machine and point the coil straight up at the air and let this all drain out of here. And it takes a little while to do because it's not a very big gap on there. So that's not that awesome. What else? What do we not like? I wouldn't say that I don't like it, but it would be way cooler if you could take that off and put a different set of headphones on there and the coil as well. It would be really cool to be able to take the coil off and put a smaller coil or a larger coil or switch them up. But I'm pretty used to the fixed coils and headphones on the underwater units, especially the deep diving ones. The Infinium was the only one that had replaceable coils. That I miss. They have a number of coils you could put on the Infinium, so it was super versatile. So I would probably switch that up if I had my way about it. But other than that, there's just not a whole lot to dislike about the machine. Super easy to use, really deep, goes through the water easily. It's not that heavy, and it is very well balanced. So the weight that it does carry is distributed evenly and makes it not so noticeable. Great machine, thumbs up. We'll figure out here in probably the short term whether or not that condensation is going to become an issue, but as far as it goes right now, I'm good with it, and we're just going to continue to use it as is. And I look forward to catching up with you at the beach on the next trip. Hopefully in the next day or two we'll have a video up to see what's going on at the beach. I don't expect to find a whole lot. Season is pretty much wound down in Huntington Beach, and Sunset sees its fair share of metal detectors, so they are all over. That's why it's also important to have a pulse machine. There are so many guys running around at the beach with Equinox 600s, Equinox 800s, I see Excaliburs, you name it, just all sorts of, even the single frequency VLF machines up in the dry sand. So they're up there picking the place clean. If you want to find anything, you've got to get down where it's hiding. And this one will pull the old school beaver tails from 15 plus inches, no problem. So it's a good machine, plenty deep. Ergonomically's dandy, no issues there. Nice coil, easily cuts through the water. Anybody that has any questions about it that I did not answer, please feel free to leave a message in the comments and I will get back to you. Other than that, have a great day and I look forward to the next hunt together. Thanks for watching. I wanted to do a quick shout out for the new subscribers. I think I picked up probably 3 or 4 over the last couple of days. I really appreciate it. Thank you for pressing that button. If you have any questions at all about the TDI Beach Hunter or any other of the machines I mentioned in this video, please feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section. I will get back to you. And I look forward to the next hunt and many more to come. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.